So we've got the back on. The decal has been removed. We have a lot of finish work to do. The neck angle has been reset. You didn't get to see that. It happened when I glued the back on. I simply adjust the angle of the neck and hold the top. This is slightly high, just a tad high. This is a little under 3/8, and my actions are so low that it'll come out about where it was when it was new. So anyway, I've been waiting to do this French polish thing, which means we're going to sand a lot of the top. I'm going to go down a little, and we can't get rid of all the dents and dings. We're not going to try. And this is a bit oversized, and I've shortened it this way. And we will locate it this way, and this way, mark it, and mask it, do the finish, then put the bridge on, because running into this wall when you're trying to do a French polish is unnecessary roughness. Now, the only wall I have is right here and here, and I have a plan. So, it's looking good. So, it came out pretty good. This is a shadow from the light right here. The whole thing is, there's about 6 applications of the first stage of the French polish. I've left the bridge off to get me some continuous strokes, and we keep running into the edge. French polish. Anyway, I've got 6 or 8, probably 6 or 7 applications on there. It's dried overnight, and we'll do a 400 light sanding possibly, and then another session later in the day. This looks pretty good. The binding is intact. It's all there. There are no cracks. You got one. There's a little ding. There's a little ding. And we got rid of all that ugly. The scars were just terrible. There's one little depression up there by the sound hole. I would usually try to save the finish, but the scars from the Yahoo pick endeavor just made it so the guitar and I agreed I needed a fresh start, and it's got one now. It's coming along nice. So it's had a second round of a dozen applications, and that was before supper. If you take a paper towel and kind of push down for 20 seconds, 10 seconds, you begin to leave an impression. In other words, it's not really crisp. It'll be crisp in the morning. We're going to end up with a light French polish that will show some grain. Now we're going on to the fretboard while this is drying overnight. I'm doing the fretboard. Starting it. This is 3/1000 of an inch thick. It's thinner than a piece of, where am I here? Copy paper. And this is a straight edge. And it's my guide. So what I'll do is, I've been doing this, is I'll check. You see, it doesn't go under any of these. There's number 6 and 7. Number 6, it's still going under. There's a thou, maybe half a thou low there. And then we're good until the last few frets which fall off. I'll do that for each of the 6 string courses. See, we're good here. We're good all the way down. It's 100 years old, and these frets are high. They're like 040. They'll all be above 040. I haven't done this one completely yet. Yeah, it's all good too. So we have to make sure there's no cupping, and that's why you see this one low spot here for the 7th or 6th fret. So we'll take a little more off each side to get a very slight arch here, and then we'll come back, and as we remove the divots from 100 years of playing, we'll create a very slight arch here to moderate any chance of cupping, dishing, some kind of china. Plenty of work to do. This is real crisp. This part here has turned out. Yeah, there it is. It's very crisp. But this camera has definite limitations, doesn't it? Yeah. And again, ooh, there, and it's completely intact. There are no missing pieces. It's like a miracle. This thing's 100 years old, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4. It has a few divots. Another one right there. It's wonderful. Yeah. Well, it ain't bad for a 100-year-old guitar. This is my first experience with the French polish, and I have to get down to see the flexion. I think we can start to see that. There we go. Well, it doesn't come out so good in the camera. Anyway, there it is. It's so there we go. You just can't see it as well in this viewfinder as I can. Anyway, there we go. It's not absolutely, totally mirror smooth. That was not my intent. You can still see the grain. The grain is telegraphed through just like it would if it was 100 years old. And the finish is real. It's thick enough, it's protective, and it looks good. And for a 100-year-old guitar, we've only got one little teeny, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, teeny. It's amazing. I'm happy with this. This is my first French polish, and I like it. So we need to tie this to this without having any of the frets come up. Spruce. It's not going to go all the way back. It never will. So I marked it and put a line on it. Everything. Keep in mind, I could have just used a little X-Acto chisel and chased that grain and cut the thing that way. Oops. I could have used an X-Acto chisel and chased the grain and cut it that way without having to turn the machine. Now we're going to go over there. Oh my God. And Anyway, we'll use the belt sander to taper this to fit in there. And no sense of filming it because it's just a lot of noise. So, this tuner is not the right tuner. Somehow, on this side's fine. They're steel, they're not brass. This entire stanchion got knocked off, and they've replaced the worm, this whole piece, on the stanchion. That means they've had to rivet or solder it to the back of this plate. The trouble is, this came from the other side, so when you try to tighten it, it loosens it. When you try to loosen it, it tightens it. The gear is meshing well, but we're going to take it off and come up with a set of tuners that matches and works. It's been pounded over, and this one is brass. Appears to be brass. Yes, which made it easier to womp on. The posts are brass. I think the gears are steel. Anyway, what's next? So this one is done. And this is the one we're working on. Those are the infamous go bars. Please buy this one. It's really nice. You can see the finish. I like the finish. First one like that for me. Okay, so that's my method. I'm using this stuff. It says you can take the clamps off in a half hour, and you don't stress it in a half hour, but you take the clamps off. But I've been scrupulously keeping I wiped up almost all the squeeze out, and then I will go through this. It's stable, it's not going to move, so I don't need these as reference, so I'll pull the tape off. End up with a very clean job. There will be no squeeze out under that tape, and it'll look like we're turned around and headed in the finishing mode. So the body's right here. That's the 12th fret. Yeah. So I put a bib on here because I don't want, the sawdust is not a problem. It's going to be the stain. I don't want any of the stain to get on the finish. And let's stick one more under here and keep the sawdust out of the hole at the same time. It's 220. When I get to here, I got one more, and then I'll go with something like a. I've been using this. I'll change to a popsicle stick here to do the last one. What we're doing is redefining and ensuring that the arch is in existence. There's no cupping, and we're getting a uniform finish ready for the dye, the stain. As you can see, this is not an edited separate. So we're almost done. So I've done it to 220, 400, because I didn't have any 320 on the bench. This is 3.0 steel wool. At the factory, they would have stopped at 180 maybe. In many fretboards you'll see the sanding is this way, especially if they have an arch. Many fretboards you'll see with rasp marks where they've leveled the frets with not just a file because it took too long, a rasp. Very coarse teeth. It's shocking. Anyway, these dots are real pearl. It was made with real dots. This is a higher end guitar. Real pearl dots, man. On and on. Fibings. The main trick is to keep it from splattering. I'm an artiste. If I have another proprietary treatment that'll go, it's an oil type, over this at some point, and I may do repeated applications of the stain and maybe lock it in with the sauce, the secret sauce. Well, what about that pearl? What about that pearl? It's a test. If everything was done correctly, the stain will wipe off the pearl. Sometimes it sneaks underneath. Pearl is translucent, darkens the look. This looks like a different type of pearl. This is like Bob Ross, man. I'm getting sleepy. Dab, dab, dab. No, that's the mighty white guy. These are happy little frets, happy little frets. So basically I turned the camera off, turned it back on, and it's dry. This is a water-based stain. We're running at 8% humidity here, and just the paper towel alone is toning down the few spots that have the. But look, the pearl's wiped off. Oops. Yeah, I think that's and next two. So not much comes off. It's great stuff. And further seal it, so to speak, with the secret sauce. Now this is turpentine. That's half of the ingredient. Dandelion wine. It's turpentine and dandelion wine. just it aids in the turning of corners. You'll feel fine. You get a fire in your belly and a fire in your head, you'll be higher and higher until then you're going to let the sun shine bright. This is part of my new LPQR go to sleep videos. There's some kind of acronym about sleep videos now. You're going to start to feel a tingle. There are the original sins in the original pearl here. There's still some rough spots where they leveled it, but they're coming along. Now the secret sauce here did pull some more of it off, but it doesn't come off on your hands. It won't come off. Not after a day or two anyway. Well, we're going to go on to we're going to do the edge where we put the back on. It's not perfect.